play fantasy football with them, but how well do you really know your fellow owners? Well, take a seat, because it's time for owner orientation.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, as our fantastic announcer has already told you, shout outs to my boy Tyler for that, by the way. This is Owner Orientation, Episode 2. You are here with your Buffalo boys, Ryan and Todd. Todd, say hello to your adoring fans.
Welcome back, everyone. I knew we couldn't keep you away.
And this week, we are joined by a man whose resume and legacy is as long as the Transcontinental Highway. He is a WPFL OG owner. He is a 5-time West Park Fantasy League winner, the most prolific winner in our league's history.
We should say, though, only 4 times in recorded history, just to get that out there up front.
Starting off spicy, Todd. I'm sure he is going to have something to say about that. Let me just quickly finish the introduction. He is one of our most active contributors on the WPFL GroupMe. He is the creator of our owner orientation logo, which we are very appreciative of. He is my former roommate. He is a husband, a brother, a son, and our friend, ladies and gentlemen, Mike Simpson. Welcome, Mike.
Thanks, guys. Thanks. Yeah, I Todd had to throw that in. They love to throw the asterisks on the wins. They got to tear me down as much as they can.
Of course. Hopefully, it won't keep you down. I'm sure it will not. Before we begin, Mike, as we always do, what are you sipping on?
I am sipping on an Edmonds Oast Brewing Company passion fruit sour.
Nice.
I'm sure everyone knew I was bringing a sour to the table tonight. So
Love it.
Have you had it before?
I have not. No, I went to the Ridgewood place per your suggestion. It smelled very nice in there.
I'm having a 2019 sexual chocolate coffee bourbon barrel aged stout.
Oh, he's trying to turn Ryan on tonight.
It is working. Yeah, I remember when you pulled that out when I was in Miami, Todd, and it looked wonderful. And wow, I'm to say I'm jealous is an understatement. I am drinking iced tea right now. I have some plans later, but yeah, enjoying some Arizona iced tea, one of my favorites. So cheers, gentlemen.
Out of a very cute mug, I must say.
Yeah, Wisconsin mug, actually. Shout out to Todd, your boys. All right, Mike. Well, thank you for being on the program. Let's get started, as we will do with all of our guests and owners. Would love to know how you first got into football, American football, that is. I know you're a fan of the other football, but yeah, how did you get into American football and specifically the Redskins?
Like the first guest of the show, I have been introduced to football through my dad yelling at the TV. And I always wanted to know why he was yelling at the TV. And now I know. It's been a long road for me as a Redskins and football team and Commander fan, but we're going to get there one day. We're going to go back to the glory land.
Mike, you mentioned obviously that your favorite team has gone through a couple name changes. Maybe we'll get canceled for saying the first one. I hope not. We just got started, obviously. But do you have a favorite nickname of your team out of the 3?
I really liked the Redskins. I know that's kind of a bad take, but I think the Commanders is actually a great name. Obviously, the football team is the best name. I wish they would have stayed with the football team. I think that's unironically the best name in sports. I do like the Commanders, though. I think the Commanders is a fine name. I've been shortening it to Manders recently.
Oh, nice.
It's you gotta find some, or the commies. You gotta find something to shorten it to, right? Commanders is kind of hard to say, but
right. Oh, I like both of those. Now, in your lifetime of fandom, do you have a favorite Redskins player?
I have a few that come to mind. I think my all-time favorite player is Sean Taylor, because he was one of the first players that I enjoyed watching. R.I.P. Sean Taylor.
R.I.P.
Gone too soon. One of my favorites to watch for a long time, though, was Chris Cooley. That man was such a goober, and every second that he had the ball was fun to watch.
Do you have any examples, like anything that sticks out still to you?
I remember he, like, early on in the YouTube days, there was some like YouTube videos of Chris Cooley just like messing around and goofing off. He just seemed like a fun guy.
Now, I know you've been to at least one Redskins game in Philly. That is a story for another day. Have you ever been to a Redskins game at FedEx Field?
I have not. I have been to 2 Washington games. One was in Charlotte and the other one was in Philadelphia.
Do you have any plans to see a game this season or next season?
Probably not. I might be in the minority, but I don't particularly like watching football games in a stadium. I like watching it on TV, no commute, no travel, get to drink as much as I want. They can't shut me down in the third quarter, and I can have a whole buffalo chicken pizza in my lap. So
I was about to say, I mean, I hope FedEx Field offers buffalo chicken pizza, or else we're going to have one set Mike Simpson.
Yeah. I mean, I'll get there one day, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. But for now, I really enjoy watching at home.
All right, Mike. I have a bit of Redskins trivia for you. The Redskins started as what team in its inception?
You know what? I do not know. So let's say Baltimore or something.
Very close, Mike. You were so close there. It was actually the Boston Braves in 1932, and then they became Boston Redskins in 1933. So only one season as the Braves, and then 4 years later in 1937, they actually moved to Washington D.C.
Gotcha. A little bit before my time. I went 0 for 1. I don't feel great about it, but
yeah,
here we are.
Also, I love how we're all calling it the Redskins now. I mean, you know, fuck the Commanders. We're just going back to the old school. I can't stop calling them the Redskins. I'm sorry.
I have resorted to basically just saying Washington every time I refer to the team.
Smart.
Because it's hard to remember that they're the Commanders, so I just stick with the city.
Sure.
Especially when they're not in that city.
Yeah, exactly. It's not confusing.
Now, Mike, obviously you're a huge football fan. Did you ever play organized football growing up?
I did not. I was too busy playing soccer. We were always traveling, playing year round, so didn't have time to play football. I would have liked to, though. I think I would have been a pretty decent wide receiver.
Okay. I could see you doing a wide receiver. Yeah, there you go. Now, you are a asterisk 5-time league winner, you know, the most prolific in our league's history. How have you had so much success? I mean, you know, what is the secret sauce, if you will? Are you able to divulge anything to our viewers today?
Secret sauce is 100% buffalo sauce. So just eat more buffalo chicken and you'll win more championships. That's all it comes down to, really.
There you go.
No, the actual secret is just paying attention, right? You watch more than just your favorite team's games. You see things that the stats don't tell you. I love to watch football. I love to pay attention to players that won't show up on the stat sheet, but they will show out in the game. And you just start looking ahead to see who might be good later on in the season. But I think it really just comes down to paying attention.
And that is a perfect transition to my next question. I feel like out of everyone in the league, I would like to say that you're probably the one who watches the most games over a season. So obviously you're familiar with a lot of commentary teams across the NFL. In your opinion, who is the worst announcer or team calling NFL games today?
I have a few. I hate Booger. I think he's not a good personality. He doesn't have good charismatic presence when he's calling games. I think he's by far my least favorite. I don't like Tony Romo. This is well documented. I like Tony Romo sometimes, but I don't like when he predicts every play. We get it, Tony. You're smart. And I don't like Joe Buck as a human being. I bartended for Joe Buck and Troy Aikman and Aaron Andrews one time in Charlotte, and Joe Buck could not stop hitting on Aaron Andrews, and he was just such a creep, and he was such a jerk. So every time I see him on screen, I cringe a little bit.
Wow. I feel like you've told me this story and it has just gotten buried in the back of my head until you've mentioned that. What an insane story.
I have tons of stories. I mean, we've had the NFL teams rent out the restaurant. I've served all sorts of pro players and coaches, and that could be a whole podcast episode in itself.
It sounds like it could be. I mean, since you mentioned it, if you can think of them, besides Joe Buck, who was the worst person that you served, who was an NFL person, and who was the best, the nicest?
There are a lot of nice ones. Like, you would be shocked at how nice these people are. I think Riley Cooper, is that the guy's name? The old Eagles wide receiver. That guy was such a jerk. He was like trying to sneak drinks from his girlfriend like the night before the game. There was like a hard rule from the coaches, like no players can drink alcohol, and he was like sneaking drinks from his girlfriend who was sitting next to him the whole time. Yeah, he had a terrible game that next day, by the way. I think my favorite person I've ever bartended or served, and maybe this will be a little bit of a homer answer, but Joe Theismann. He ordered a beef stroganoff and a Yingling, and he sat there for an hour and then tipped me $30 on a meal that was $15, and he was just one of the nicest people ever.
Wow, that's awesome. It is well documented that you are a huge fan of buffalo chicken pizzas.
That's right.
Who makes the best buffalo chicken pizza?
Well, hopefully soon I can say that I make the best buffalo chicken pizza. I've been working on my pizza dough recipe. I think I've gotten it pretty good, but I need one of those uni pizza ovens to really take up to the next notch. Yeah. But as far as who makes the best buffalo chicken pizza, like restaurant wise, it is without a doubt Mellow Mushroom. It's not even close. They blow everyone else out of the water.
Shout out to Mellow Mushroom. I love a good Mellow Mushroom pizza. That's a great spot. Speaking of chicken, you also famously worked at ChickfilA as a younger man. Was it really your pleasure serving those customers?
Ryan, I signed some documents when I was hired at ChickfilA saying that I can't disclose that answer to you, but I will say this. It was my pleasure sometimes.
Okay, fair enough.
Mike, what was your go-to meal with your free, like, whatever, like $7.50 stipend that they gave you?
Oh yeah, Todd, we worked at Chick-fil-A. You and I both. We worked at different Chick-fil-A's because my Chick-fil-A would let us get anything that we wanted, not just $7.50. But I loved, this is going to be a really hot take, I loved the carrot and raisin salad. I thought the carrot raisin salad was a top tier food item, and then they took it off the menu. But I used to get a grilled chicken sandwich with none of the stuff on it, just the regular bun, grilled chicken, a slice of cheese, and a carrot raisin salad. And that was probably my go-to for the longest time. Other than that, I really liked the secret menu, the nachos, the grilled cheese, the quesadillas, all the stuff that you had to know the kitchen guys to have. That was the good stuff, especially the nachos.
My favorite, Mike, was we didn't have a register button for the chicken mini bread. So we would put in an order for 8 individual chicken nuggets and 8 of the chicken mini breads. And it came out to like 85 cents or something.
Gotcha. Yeah, the individual nugget button was kind of ridiculous in my opinion, but those yeast rolls were amazing. That honey butter from, oh my goodness, so good.
We're just getting going on a podcast here. I know you've listened to a lot of podcasts in your time. What do you think makes a good podcast, and what do your favorite podcasts do to keep you coming back?
A good segment is what brings me back, like a daily segment. Like, this is what we do on Tuesdays. This is what we do on Wednesdays. Even if it's just something silly. I don't know how many people listen to the Fantasy Footballers. I know Todd does. But they do Pun Day Monday, where they just make stupid names, team names out of players' names. And I always enjoy that. Nice little start to a podcast. But yeah, I think a good segment, a recurring segment is a great way to keep people interested and bring them back.
Appreciate you sharing that. Would you consider sharing who your favorite fantasy player was that you've rostered and why?
That's easy. That would be Todd Gurley.
After me, like named after me.
Yep. One of my favorite team names of all time. I love Doug and Todd. I had Doug Martin and Todd Gurley on my team, and I thought that was a funny name at the time. Todd Gurley was just incredible. He was absolutely incredible. He single-handedly won me one of my championships when he scored over 100 points in 3 games in the championship weeks. So definitely Todd Gurley. Man, what a special player to watch. He was just so much fun to watch play. He could do everything.
Yeah, I was jealous when you had him. But in terms of favorite memories, do you have any favorite memories from West Park Fantasy League history?
I think this might be a little bit of a cop-out, but I think the Summit is by far the best memory of this league. I also like when all of us get together in some sort of photo booth area, whether it be at a wedding or some other event, and we get like 10 to 12 of us to take a picture. Those are always good times. But the Summit, it stands out far and away the best memory of this football league.
If we take anything from this podcast, I hope it's that we need a Summit Part 2. I hope we can get our acts together and we can get that in the books for next year.
We're gonna have to give Dave Evans about a 3-year head start on getting off work, I think, but we'll make it work.
Fingers crossed.
Totally agree. But Mike, for all of our listeners out there, we have some people not in the league listening. Again, thank you guys. What was so special about the Summit for you?
What was so special about the Summit? I love big group vacations. I absolutely love to go on vacations with a ton of people. And we were all just good friends, and we went to a dope house. I don't know. It was everything about it was just exactly what I want in a vacation. We didn't go out exploring much. I know it snowed a little bit and it kind of kept us in the house, which is a little bit of a bummer, but we had a D&D night where we played D&D. Mike Hoyle DM'd for 8 of us to play a game. And he prepped it in 20 minutes. Yeah, that was obviously staying up past Doug was fun, but it's really easy because you just have to not fall asleep before lunchtime. But yeah, everything about it was just super fun.
Yeah, totally agree. I would have to say though that my favorite part was I think it was the Thursday night game. Most people had gotten into the house, and we had an entire movie theater where everyone had a comfy seat, and we all got to watch one football game start to stop together. I love that.
Yeah, I think it was the Colts and the Texans, and we were making a bunch of prop bets the whole night. And I was playing against Jimmy that week, my twin brother, for those of you who don't know. And I started one running back for the Colts, and he started the other running back for the Colts. And his running back for the Colts got 0.0 points. So that was a big time night for me.
What I remember about that night is I had just traded for DeAndre Hopkins. I can't remember who I sent Mike Hoyle, but Mike Hoyle had him for 3 or 4 consecutive seasons and traded for him, and he went off. And I believe I was playing Mike Hoyle that week, so it was just a very special night.
Yeah, that was awesome. A big movie theater with the entire league, almost the entire league, to watch a game was sweet.
Jumping into your personal life, though, you just got married, right? So what's changed in your life since you got married?
Honestly, and maybe Todd, you can confirm this. Nothing has changed. The one thing has changed. She has stopped asking me for rent money. There you go. So that's the only thing that's changed. No, it's all the same. I love her either way.
That's awesome. Any highlights from your honeymoon?
Too many for this podcast, man. The Switzerland is awesome. I just recommend anyone who's never been, save up a couple $1,000s. You have to get out there. It doesn't feel real. It does not feel like a real place. It feels like a fairy tale.
I thought that was a not safe for work question there, Todd, but Mike took it in a very professional way. So clearly I'm the pervert. So apologies.
If you didn't know that you were the pervert yet, no, I'm glad you finally figured that out, right?
Better late than never.
Continuing on, do you have any books that you read lately that you'd like to recommend to the league?
So I have just started to pick up reading as a hobby. I am currently on the first book of the first Mistborn trilogy. The book is called The Final Empire. It is very good so far. I'm almost done with it. And then I've got the 2 other books sitting right over there on the shelf that I can't wait to read. I feel like I can't really recommend without having read all of his stuff, but I know so many people have recommended him to me, so I'm going to go ahead and recommend him to everyone else. Brandon Sanderson, he just seems to put out masterpiece after masterpiece. So I can't wait to continue my list of his books.
That's awesome. I only had one more question for you. Who's your prediction for last place this season?
It's a toss-up between Neil and Mike Hoyle. I cannot tell which team is worse. One of them has to trade their way out of the hole that they've dug themselves into. I know that you were wanting me to say me because I'm in last place now, but it's not going to happen. One of these games, my team will stay healthy enough to finish the week, and I'll actually score some points.
I think you may have set a record for worst 2-season consecutive start with 0-7 over the last 2 seasons of starting games.
Was I not 0-4 3 seasons ago also?
It wouldn't surprise me at this point.
I mean, I've won a championship from 0-4. I've made the playoffs from 0-5. I'm not worried yet, but you know, there's always that little creeping doubt that is starting to work its way in. But no, I'm not worried. I just made a couple of trades. We're gonna right this ship. That's for sure.
Best of luck.
All right, Mike. Well, final question. This is a question that we're going to ask everyone on owner orientation. What is one phrase you'd like to share or leave with your fellow WPFL owners?
Yeah, you sent me this question. I couldn't really think of anything, so I'm just going to echo what Nixon said. Don't leave the league because it'll make Nixon sad, and we don't want Nixon to be sad. He's not very fun to be around when he's sad. So let's just all stay in the league, and you know, maybe I'll have 50 championships by the time I'm 75. We'll see.
Not on pace, but good luck.
Yeah, Todd, talk about a bold prediction. I mean, if we want to try to remember that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll have to win literally every year until the time I'm 75. That would be 45 championships. Hey, but I think roughly 1 out of every 2 seasons is pretty good.
Absolutely.
Speaking of bold predictions, Mike, I hear you have something for our audience, some spicy hot take. What is it?
Yeah, I've got a bold prediction for this week. I predict boldly that the number 1 running back and the number 1 wide receiver this week will come from outside the top 10 of the current scorers in their position.
I mean, that is the definition of a bold prediction. That's pretty incredible.
I think actually when you come down, when you look at it, it's not as bold as it sounds. There's a lot of good running backs outside the top 10 right now. Najee, Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry is outside the top 10. So we got a lot of players that are easily number 1 running back material. I think the wide receiver one is a lot more bold.
I guess we'll see what happens. Well, Mike, thank you for joining Owner Orientation. This has been super fun. Good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you. Oh, I have another bold prediction. My team plays all my players play all 4 quarters of the games that they start.
Good luck.
That's a bold prediction for me. So far that hasn't happened yet, but we're talking bold, right?
We are. Yeah, got to go bold on Buffalo boys.
Yeah. No, it was a pleasure. Thanks for having me, guys.
Of course.